Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you this sweet little treat that I made using the Sweet Conversation stamp set. This treat holds a mini candy bar that just slides into that cute little pocket. I think you're really going to enjoy this suite of products with this beautiful designer series paper and iridescent jewels. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I'm going to start with the scoring on this project, and I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark, the 1 inch mark, the 2 1/4 inch mark, the 2 3/4 inch mark, and then at the 4 inch mark. And at this point, I can take my scoreboard and set it to the side. Next, I'm going to bring in my basic white piece of cardstock and my 2 solid heart images along with my sentiment. I'm going to ink up these hearts using the Blushing Bride Stamp Off and stamp randomly onto my cardstock. Whoops. I'm going to do this with the other heart to add a little variance. And then I'm going to bring in my sentiment and ink it up with the real red and stamp right in the middle of that. Now that I have that done, I'm going to bring in my designer series paper and the Happy Valentine's Day sentiment. I'm going to ink that up in my real red, and I'm going to stamp that right in the center of my designer series paper. And then I'm going to bring in this open heart image that has 3 hearts. I'm going to ink it up in the Blushing Bride, stamp off, and stamp right in the center, just to give it a hint of hearts behind that sentiment. I've got my stamping done, and I need to cut out my sentiment piece here on the basic white with my layering circle die. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, I've cut out my sentiment with the layering circle die, and while I was there, I also cut out the scallop circle with the center circle that comes out in the real red. And I'm ready to start assembling. So I'm going to bring in the Pool Party cardstock here, and I'm going to begin by folding it on the score lines with my bone folder and making those score lines nice and sharp. The next thing I'm going to do is add some tear and tape right here to the back side of my 1/2 inch section. So let me bring my tear and tape in. I'm going to put that close to the score line because I want that edge nice and tight. And bring in my tool here and cut that off. And I can burnish that so it's easier to pull off. Now this 1/2 inch flap is going to fold under, so I know I need to put my large piece of designer series paper right here at the top. So I'm going to add that. I like to decorate before I assemble, but if it makes it easier the first time for you to assemble first, you can do that also. This 4 inch score line is going to give me a mark here in order to know where I'm going to adhere this down. So my sentiment piece that I stamped is going to go right here on the front. And I want to make sure that this is directional. So I've showed you that again so that you know it's going where it needs to go. There we go. And then these last 2 strips of designer series paper are going to go on those 1/2 inch sections. And I'm going to use the Blushing Bride watercolor look side to match my sentiment. But if you prefer, you can use that fun candy side for a little more color. And on the bottom here, since I added the adhesive to the wrong strip, I'm going to add the fun candy. Now I'm ready to adhere, so I am going to pull this off, fold it down, and let me show you here on the side. I'm going to make sure that I'm putting that right on the score line. I'm going to touch and then come over to the other side before it sticks down and line it up. Once I've got that done, I can burnish with my bone folder so that there's a nice tight seal to that. And I'm ready to decorate. Now I'm going to place my circle here right onto the designer series paper, just by adding a little touch of adhesive here around the outside edge. You can also use your fine tip glue pen if you would prefer. I'm going to place that down, and I'm actually going to use the center of the circle here to be a placeholder. You can add this first if you would prefer, but I like to do it after. There we go. And then I'm going to take my sentiment and flip it over and add a couple of dimensionals on the back. I want this to be popped up and give me a little bit of a shadow on that scallop circle. And I'm going to place that right in the center here. There we go. I'm going to bring in these beautiful iridescent rhinestones next, and I'm going to put a little shimmer and shine on here before I add my candy bar. I think I'm going to add a medium one there, and let's see, I can actually add a couple of the little ones on each side of my sentiment here. And I'm doing this now so that I can fold this down and apply pressure without that candy bar. Last but not least, I'm bringing in this little Hershey's candy bar, and I'm going to slip it right in to that bottom section there. So there you go, a cute, fun Valentine treat for somebody special. I hope you've enjoyed this project using the Sweet Conversations stamp set from the new 2022 January-June mini catalog. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.